Hey, FJ students, Mr. Jeffries here with your short Thursday math class. Today, we're going to be discussing cube roots. And so as you can see over here, I've got my little squares, so my little cubes here. And as you'll probably recall, if I have this object here, this is just a flat object. So this is a square. And to find the area of this square, remember, we would just say, okay, well, each side has a side of 2. So that's side of 2 times side of 2, and that gets us the area of the square, which is 4. Or the other way we could think about this is, hey, that's just 2 to the second power. That equals 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 cubes there. So the area of this square is 4. And so that's why we call anything to the second power squared. Well, today we're going to talk about expanding on that a little bit. So let's say here we've got our 1 layer deep square with sides of 2. Well, we could make this into a cube by taking another one of those same things and putting it on top. And now we've got a cube here. We got a cube. As you can see, it's a cube all the way around. And every side is 2. And so some of you might know this, but in order to find the area of a cube, we'd go length times width times height. And so here, each side, a cube is the same, right, on each side. So we've got a side of 2 here, a side of 2 here. And then if we flip it up, we'll see the height is actually 2 as well for this cube. And so this is going to be 2 times 2 times 2. And that's 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. And the other way we could write this, just like we did squared, that's 2 to the third power. 2 times itself 3 times is 2 to the third power. And that's why we call that 2 cubed. And of course, that's 8. And sure enough, here, we should have 8 cubes. If we take this apart, we got 2 here, we got 2 there, 2 there. Yep, we've got 8 cubes, and that's the area. Now, we could expand upon this even further, right? Well, let's see. Let's build up this cube even further here. Get a bunch of these little guys. Let's make it sides of 3. It's going to be a lot already. All right, this is big. We'll see if I can even pick this up at this point. All right, so here we've got our cube. Let's see what we can do here. Picking it up. Don't even know if it's possible. We'll try though. See how we got it here. You can see it's hard to tell, but it's 3 on each side. So it's a perfect cube. So it's 3 tall, 3 wide, 3 long. We got a perfect cube there. Well, the area of this cube here is going to be 3 times 3 times 3. We've got this side is 3. Whoop, knocked it off. This side's 3, this side's 3, and it's 3 high, so 3 times 3 times 3. That's 3 times 3 is 9, times another 3 is 27. And so we would say that 3 cubed, 3 to the third power is 3 cubed, and that's 27. So that is why we say cubed whenever anything is to the third power. And it also correlates with a cube root. So you all remember now that the square root of 4, well, that equals 2. It's the inverse of this operation right there. 2 squared is 4, so the square root of 4 is 2. Well, the same can be said over here. If 2 cubed is 8, the cube root of 8, which we represent like this, so we just put a 3 right there. So we do that same square root sign, but we put a 3 right there. That says cube root. The cube root of 8 is 2. Ooh, that's a bad 2. And the cubed root of 27 is 3. So that's the meaning of cubes and cube roots. We're going to move that out of the way. And now you guys are going to pause this video and finish up your notes. You did the square root number line, but now I want you to finish up with the cubed root number line. So put it right under the square root number line, make it really straight, Make sure you've got room for -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. On the top, we've got our cubed roots. So the cubed root of -8 is -2. The cubed root of -1 is -1, 0, so on and so forth. Pause the video here, take those notes, make sure you have this all down neatly because they're going to be really important going forward. All right. So I'm going to just pop this open really quickly here. Now, we just wrote down a whole bunch of those cube roots, so hopefully you have that all down. But what if we're asked, hey, what's the cube root of 343? How do we figure that out? Well, there's a couple of ways. One, you could just, honestly, a lot of the times it can be super easy for you to just bust open your calculator and say, okay, well, let's figure it out. Well, what's the cube root? On our notes, we went up to 6. So maybe we'll see what's 8. So I'll just do on my calculator here. I'll do 8 times 8 times 8. Well, that's 512. But another way that we could do it without just going through and checking, hey, what's the cube root? And I guess I should also make sure this says 3 there. So we're looking for the cubed root of 343. The other way we can do this is through prime factorization, which means we identify the factors of the number that are prime numbers. So let's do this in red here. 343. We want to find the cubed root of 343. So what's a prime factor? Well, let's see here. There's one prime number is 2. 302 doesn't go into 343. Let's check on the calculator. 343 divided by 3. That's a decimal. That means that 3 is not a factor of it. It's not a whole factor. What's our next prime number? 5. Well, I can already tell you that's not going to work. 343 divided by 5, I'll do that on my calculator. Is 5 a factor? Nope. Again, we got a decimal there. So the next prime number is 7. 343 divided by 7. Check it out. 49. Whoa, crazy. So this is how we do prime factorization. We write down our prime number, and then the other number that you multiply it by to get 343. And then in green, we're going to circle our prime number. Well, 49 isn't prime. 49 has other factors that go into it. It's not a prime number. In fact, 49 is a square. So if we do this, 49 is the product of 7 times 7. It's a perfect square. And those 7 and 7, those are prime numbers. So we'll circle them. And what this tells us is if we are looking at a number and we want to figure out what its cube root is, we can check this way. We found out that 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. Those are the 3 prime numbers that go into it. So we do our prime factorization and check it out. 7, I'm going to do it on the calculator. 7 times 7 times 7 is, sure enough, it's 343. And so the cubed root of 343 is 7. And that's how we would figure out some new things.